The JOJOLands. Chapter 5, November Rain. Hey everyone, CJ here, and let's get started with another JOJOLands chapter review. This month's chapter was very interesting since we're going to get a deeper look at how JOJO stand November Rain works. But with that, let's get right into the chapter. Where we last left off with the Joe squad, Dragona is freaking out because of what's been going on with the diamond since it keeps disappearing from his hands every time he goes to grab it. Meanwhile, Rohan is using the zip ties they brought to handcuff the already incapacitated Paco and Usagi. In the midst of what's happening, Rohan is calling the police to come to the villa and arrest the squad. And during said call, Dragona is still freaking out about the whole diamond situation and why it keeps disappearing whenever he tries to grab it. But once Rohan's call comes to an end, he insists that Dragona approach him so that way he can tie him up too. Before we continue, I want to talk about this hot take that I have about these two pages. And please don't be upset with me when I say this. But I felt like the continuity of these two panels threw me off a little bit. Because in the first panel, we see that Rohan is leading in with his left leg. And the next time that we see him, he's obviously taking a step forward already. But now it's again with his left leg, which kind of threw me off and it made me think that it was a continuity error or something like that. But it could just be that since he already took a step, that it makes sense that he's stepping forward with his left leg. I just thought that it was weird that it almost looked like he just moved forward. I don't know. I guess I'm just being weird and nitpicky. And please understand, I mean no disrespect to Araki, but I don't know why these two panels just threw me off. But back to the story, Dragona starts to make a run for it, putting the diamond in his back pocket or something, or his little bag, as Rohan stands there, staring at him all creepily. And then the crazy diamond stuff starts to happen again, where if someone picks it up, it just mysteriously disappears and ends up in a different place. As in this instance, where the diamond just miraculously disappears from Dragona's bag into a coffee cup on the table like a few feet away from him, which Rohan notices and freaks Dragona out. I suppose that in the midst of the diamond escaping the bag, it also caused all these banknotes of Rohan's to fall to the floor for him to notice. And at this point, Dragona can't take it anymore with what's going on with the diamond. And to make Dragona panic even more, Rohan is attempting to tie him up with the cable ties that they brought. And whether or not he intended to come off creepy or so, the way that he attempts to capture Dragona just makes him panic even more. But naturally, hearing his big brother scream for help, Jojo comes in for the save with a quick November Rain distraction, which draws Rohan's attention away from Dragona. Oh, what's this? Rohan can immediately tell that this is Jojo since the same thing happened the previous chapter back at the poolside. And with the odd occurrence, Rohan can tell that it's a stand ability. When analyzing the properties of November Rain's water abilities, we get some brief explanation by Araki speaking through Rohan on how November Rain's ability actually works, and some of the rulings to its stand ability. It's here where Rohan is talking about the range of November Rain's ability, which makes it clear that the range isn't too large, since Jojo still has to be within a certain distance for the effect to work, and, as Rohan states, can't be in a large area without him nearby. When speculating what Jojo's plan is, Rohan steps closer to a carpet and sees that it's completely damp. And then, the water became dense enough to break through the floor using the carpet, causing Rohan to fall through. And before he could dive deeper into the hole, Jojo catches him by the neck with one of the zip ties, which further explains how Jojo can change the density of the water that November Rain drops to his advantage depending on the scenario that he's in, which is honestly a pretty cool part to his stand ability. And with that, Jojo comes to his brother's aid and captures Rohan. He even hits Rohan with a JoJo pose. Pretty sick. Shortly soon after, Usagi and Paco finally wake up from Heaven's Door's ability. Rohan realizes what happened with the carpet and the rain, and further confirms that Jojo can indeed control the density of water dropped by November Rain. With Usagi and Paco being freed, all they want to do is just mess up Rohan, but Jojo stops them because he has respect for him since he's not only a mangaka, but also the author of one of his favorite mangas, Pink Dark Boy, which the two guys won't stand. With Jojo expressing his respect to Rohan and showing off his good vibes, Dragona reminds everyone that not only did Rohan call the police, but also the diamond is acting weird, and naturally the others are puzzled by this. I know Usagi's not gonna talk like this, but I just love him so much. I can just imagine him sounding like, "What are you talking about?" But besides that, Rohan drops the interesting news that he knows that someone is interested in his valuables, and that now that the squad has involved themselves with Rohan, now they're gonna be followed too. But then there's Jojo trying to keep the good vibes up and trying to get the day along. Using his good nature, Jojo tries to bargain with Rohan into calling the police again and telling him that there was no incident and that they don't need to come and investigate. He's really hoping for a high roll in that diplomacy. I love the exchange on this page. This is like my favorite page of the whole chapter. Well, second. But yeah, pretty much. Call them back, please. Daga kotoaru. He refused. Aw, dang. Pretty hilarious having Rohan say the line again, since the last time he said it in part 4. I refuse. It's so in his character to do so. But anyway, with Rohan insisting that he's not gonna tell the cops to go away, Jojo initiates his plan. First time I read it, I was so confused because I thought I was making a tink-tink sound. I was like, wait, is Jojo wearing a helmet the whole time? But yeah, Jojo begins to talk about how he was geeking out over seeing the pages of the Pink Dark Boy manga and expresses how much he's a fan of Rohan's and continues on about how much he respects him, his writing, his philosophy and everything, and talks about his other works and his talent, while the others are like questioning him, like, what are you talking about? And then Jojo brings up the lava rocks, specifically the ones that were in the safe along with the diamond, and the ones that were in the photos that he saw over back in the poolside table. It causes Rohan to go from his nonchalant mood to now a slightly panicked mood when Jojo explains that he grabbed the rocks that he was hiding away. It is then when Jojo comes to the conclusion that the most valuable thing to Rohan was never the diamond, it was always these lava rocks that held most value to him. Which I'm sure we all felt like was going to be the case, because why would you just put random pieces of natural objects next to a high valuable diamond like that in a safe? Although we don't get the full explanation as to why these things are so important, what exactly they are, I'm sure we'll get that in either the next chapter or the following chapter. But back to this one, Rohan continues to show his concern for the rocks as everyone else expresses their confusion as to why the lava rocks are so much more important than the diamond that they're after. But then Jojo continues his mini interrogation on Rohan and explains that if he doesn't call the cops again and tell them not to show up and they're unable to leave scot-free, Jojo will proceed to destroy the lava rocks if anything was to stop them from going back to their place, which immediately draws attention from Rohan. And with Rohan not doing anything, Jojo does the unthinkable and actually breaks one of the rocks using Rohan's phone, which is kind of hilarious in a pretty like jerk move, because then Rohan starts to express his lament over what just happened. It's actually kind of funny. And then finally Rohan shows his true Rohan self and starts expressing all of his anger and uptight fury on Jojo and the others. That's also a pretty good shot of Usagi and Paco, especially what they're saying. Ooh, hey. And look at Jojo. He's so hilarious. He's already such a great JoJo character, especially a Joe protag. What a lovable jerk with a heart of gold. And win. While Rohan ponders on Jojo's mercy, Paco and Dragana talk about the diamond, and since Paco doesn't believe him about what was going on with the disappearing diamond, Paco just snatches it and heads on out with the others. But before Jojo leaves, Rohan calls him back to tell him something. After talking about how, oh no, someone as important and special as me being beaten by a bunch of punk teens, Rohan continues to bring up the importance and value of these lava rocks in a very interesting way. Plus, he almost pretty much tells Jojo that with great power comes great responsibility. When I was reading this, I felt like Rohan was implying that having these lava rocks close to yourself brings a sense of positive flow. And that reminds me of everything that happened in part 8 with the whole good karma and bad karma. And with Rohan telling Jojo that with this being in possession, that he could potentially be filthy rich, and talks about mechanisms, which draws Jojo's eye since that's what he's been telling us as the narrator since the beginning, which starts to build on this notion of this part's theme, which is very interesting, and I'd love to see how it develops throughout this part. It was interesting that this sense of character intrigue and introspective comes from Rohan, as he tells Jojo to keep his ambition and keep going further with his passion and dreams. Interestingly enough, Rohan then brings up this idea that the lava rocks is so important, Jojo should keep it a secret from everyone, which then begs the question, what's so important about these rocks? But yeah, with that and a really cool shot of Jojo striking a pose, Rohan lets him go with the lava rock, which looks like a pyramid kind of looking thing, and we're off to the next part of the Joe Squad's journey. I thought these shots of the squad looks kind of cool, and I love how we jump into the comedy bits of JoJo, since we find out that Usagi stole one of the original prints of the Pink Shark Boy manga, with Jojo being surprised and Usagi teasing him that he's not going to give it to him. Pretty funny stuff. But what's cool about this print is that the Heaven's Door looking Pink Dark Boy character is striking Rohan's at least one of Rohan's iconic poses. I don't know, I think I was stumbling here because I was just distracted on how great Araki's art is in this part and all the character designs. Just love them all. Just love this part overall. And although Paco's having no trouble at all holding the diamond in his hand, Dragana's still suspicious of it. But then, as soon as the chapter's coming to an end, I forgot that there was even a thing about the cat, who makes a miraculous return. But that's not the only cat, there's 3 of them now. Which then begs the question, what are these cats? Are they stand users? Are they stand abilities? Are they people disguised as cats? They're probably most after the diamond. But still, that's a question for next chapter. As this chapter comes to an end with the tease for the next stand battle, the Joe Squad versus the Cat Squad. And as the manga says itself, the cat chase begins. Next time on the JOJOLands. And thus comes an end to this video. Overall, I really liked the chapter. And although it is the end of this first arc with Rohan, I think it's implying that we're going to see Rohan again soon. Or later in the part, who knows. The most important thing to take from this chapter is not only is the Joe Squad in possession of the diamond, but now also these oddly important lava rocks, and that this new cat squad is chasing after them. But yeah, another great chapter to an already great part of JoJo. I really love all the characters and everything that it's setting up. It's exciting to see where this story goes. But what do you think? Write down your comments and your theories and speculation down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you think is going to happen next for our Joe Squad in next month's chapter of JOJOLands. And hey, if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and checking out some of my other work both here and on my Instagram page too. And why not drop a like on this video as well? Your support is very much appreciated. But with that, I hope that you all continue to have a great day, and I'll catch you next time, especially in the next JOJOLands chapter review. But with that, I'm CJ, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now. When speculating what Jojo's plan is, Rodeo